Welcome to the underground, you rebel scum. This is the American Expat. And, you probably noticed that today I'm trying something a little different. Going live at a different time. Yeah, going live in the evening has been, it's been a lot of fun. But at the same time, I tend to have to drink a cup of coffee or something in order to have the energy to be able to actually get through a live. And that means no sleep, which is apparently very bad for your health. So anyway, I'm going to try this, and I'm hoping also that we'll maybe get a few extra people jumping in here and there to join us for the live. But there's a lot going on just today to talk about. And if you recall, there's this stuff going on at the Texas border. We've talked about it before, about keeping your eyes on what's happening in Texas. This thing is heating up. It sounds like a bunch of states are kind of jumping into the fray and backing what's happening in Texas. And I'm not sure what the Biden administration is going to do. This is getting pretty crazy. Anyway, more on that coming up in just a second, so stick around.
โบราณที่เลหากเลือกงัวดูหางแม้เลือกนางดูแม่นั่นแหละแน่เข้าที่บ้านเรือนสะอาดตา
Thanks for sticking with us. And before we get too far into the video, as always, I do need to encourage each of you to join in the conversation. I am not an expert at anything, so if you happen to be catching us live, share your knowledge with us in the live chat. If you're catching us after the fact, be sure to leave your comments down below. I do want to hear from you guys. Also, don't forget that there is a like button. You can hit that if you don't mind. Of course, that's if you approve of what we're saying. There's also a thumbs down button. You can feel free to hit that as well if you prefer. But don't forget to leave a comment, because the thumbs down, it doesn't really tell me a whole lot. But if you leave your comment with it saying why I'm an idiot, then that might help. I mean, I'm not totally closed-minded. So, if it's something that makes sense, I may just end up agreeing with you and changing my opinion. You never know. Also, don't forget to subscribe. This does help somewhat. Join the revolution. And without further delay, I guess we can start talking about some of the things that are going on right now. The Texas border. It's getting pretty crazy. I'm seeing the videos and everything. You see soldiers. They're all in their armor, their uniforms. They've got guns. And the Texas governor is refusing to back down. At first, when I heard about this and the ruling from the Supreme Court, if you recall, they ruled 5-4 that Texas was in the wrong and that they had to allow the federal government to come in there and continue destroying infrastructure that was designed to protect the sovereignty of the nation. Well, they ruled that way. And, I kind of felt like, of course they did. The Supreme Court, that's their job. They just interpret the law. It's not like they're out there deciding what's right and wrong. Their decisions are completely based on what's written in the law. So I kind of felt like they were justified in making that decision. But now I have read the letter that the Texas state governor put out, and I feel a little bit more persuaded by his argument. This is a strange situation. So what I would say is, yes, the Supreme Court made the correct judgment, because that's what their job is. But I think that the Texas governor is also correct in what he is doing, because we have a federal government that's out of control. They're not just destroying the border. They're not just, turning a blind eye or something like that. They're actually breaking the law. They're actively participating in human trafficking. Now, a lot of people have said, human trafficking is not... these guys, I've heard Tim Pool, of course, talking about it quite a bit, saying that they're criminals, that these people are actually criminals and should be in prison. And that is correct. Now, he did kind of back and say that, it's not the worst of the worst, but I would say that it actually is, considering what is taking place. Now, yeah, sure, there's a lot of people that are just coming across the border because they want to come work or whatever. But a lot of these people that are coming across, when you're talking about human trafficking, a lot of them are coming over here to be bought and sold. We're talking about sex trafficking. We're talking about trafficking of minors, children, for the same purpose. The worst kinds of crimes imaginable are being committed as a result of that. So can you really say if you're someone in uniform and going along with whatever it is that they're being ordered to do, that you're justified or somehow, like, well, it's not that. I'm just doing what I'm told, Sure, it's wrong, but no, it's pretty bad stuff. I would, it's like the Nazis. They keep coming up. The concentration camp guards, like, well, I was just doing my job. I was just doing what I was told. It's like, you know the difference between right and wrong. And this is horribly wrong. Not only is this wrong, but it's literally against the laws that we have. They are breaking the law. They don't even have the argument that those people were making, because they had evil laws. We have laws that are supposed to stop this from happening, and they're helping it to happen. They're tearing down the border, allowing people through who knows who they are or what they're here for, and they're allowing horrifying crimes to be committed on top of theirs. Their hands are as dirty as it gets, and that needs to stop. If people are involved in that, they should probably just quit. They should probably leave and protest, because this is horrifying. I can't imagine why anybody would want to go along with it. Let me see. I've got a couple comments coming in. Mike Malone, I'm just going to send our National Guard back down to Texas again soon. Yeah, I'm hearing about that. West Virginia has joined in with a lot of these other states, and in support of Texas. What is the Biden administration going to do at this point? There's a growing number of states that have said that they support what he's doing, and this is coming after the Supreme Court ruling. There are people on the other side that are calling for, I guess, the Insurrection Act to be invoked, and for the National Guard to be federalized immediately, that sort of thing. And so far, I haven't seen that anything has happened, but I worry that maybe, in the back of my mind, of course, I think, like, is this on purpose? Is this a setup of some kind? Is this exactly what they wanted? That was one of the reasons that I was like, okay, the Supreme Court ruling, maybe we just hold off for a little bit and let things calm down, maybe go get through this election, and then we don't have to have the country completely disintegrate. But I don't live in Texas, so I'm not being affected by what's happening. And it sounds a little bit worse. Why isn't the Biden administration in California cutting the border and letting people through? Why are they doing it in Texas? What is going on in Eagle Pass? It seems kind of targeted in a way. What is we live in such strange times. I can't imagine. Here's the federal government purposely undermining a state. They've done it many, many times. I feel like they do it to this state many times. You probably don't realize how often they do it to your own state, especially if you didn't vote for them. It's just absolutely insane, the things that are happening in the country right now. But, they continue to happen, and hopefully things don't get a whole lot worse. But we should definitely be keeping our eyes on what is happening in the state of Texas, because this could blow up. I mean, we're talking about armed troops on the border. Now, I've heard people talking about, well, he could federalize the National Guard. Well, if the governor of Texas says no, what are they going to do at that point? Some of the National Guard forces might go along with it, but some of them won't. Some of them will side with the state of Texas, and then Texas would literally be in an open state of rebellion. What happens if he sends federal troops to stop what I guess they would be calling an insurrection at that point? I can't imagine that all of those soldiers are going to be willing to go along with that either. You may end up with a situation where some of them desert and join the side of Texas, taking their equipment and material with them. This is all speculation, but I could see this. I mean, we're right on the cusp of something like that. This is just like what happened with Fort Sumter. I know people are going to say it's not just like it, but it's very much like what happened at the beginning of the Civil War back in the 1860s. And it's kind of concerning. This would just happen about now. Just as for the first time ever, my in-laws have expressed interest in coming to visit the United States. And, my son is very excited about his grandma coming over. And now I'm thinking, like, I hope that the whole place doesn't disintegrate before that actually gets to happen. It would be nice to be able to show them how great the United States is instead of, we can't go to this part of the country because there's a war going on there. But at the same time, I also hope that Texas succeeds and we can stop whatever's taking place with all these people pouring across the border, which, as I've mentioned before, that it's not normal what's happening. This is not normal. I mean, when I was in California years and years ago, I spent a lot of time around people that came to the United States illegally. Originally, they came illegally. Some of them were illegal at the time. But when they came here because they wanted to be a part of what we are. They wanted to be able to work and make money and maybe eventually, bring their family to be part of this. They wanted to be part of what we were doing here. They wanted to be American. And the people that are coming now, I have no idea what they're doing. I mean, they're coming to live in camps. This is, it's completely abnormal. It's completely out of the ordinary, even for that, even for the, illegal immigration, which is illegal as it is in the word. But, there's something bizarre about what's happening. This is orchestrated. It's somehow organized. And I feel like part of it is internal with the Biden administration actually working to orchestrate this, but also external. We're being invaded. Maybe it's not like another country has an army that they're, coming with guns and invading, but at the same time, it kind of is. These are organized groups that are marching in columns right up to the border and being let in. I guess the Texas state governor, I believe, Greg Abbott, has said that Joe Biden is, betraying his oath of office, and he is. He's unleashing all of this upon us, and it's not. I don't know. It's like when you need the laws to be enforced, nobody's gonna. I don't trust the Republican Party to do anything about it. Supposedly they have a majority, and that what could be more impeachable than this? What could be a more impeachable offense than what he is doing right now with the border? And there's nothing. I mean, the stuff about, maybe he was doing some corrupt things before or, with his son. Sure, whatever happened to that? But even beyond that, here he is right out in the open. We've watched it taking place. He is literally, breaking the law and destroying our national sovereignty right in front of us. Where are the calls for impeachment with all of this happening? It's non-existent. And that is probably one of the biggest shames, I would say, that I can think of right now. The Republican Party. Yeah, you think back about what happened with this Carrie Lake with the bribery thing. I guess that tells you all you need to know. That bribe idea came from the Republican Party itself. These people, our government is so corrupt. I've mentioned it so many times. When I was in China, I used to joke around about it, because I'd hear about the corruption in China. One time I had lost my passport. And in order to get it replaced, our government required that I file a police report saying hey, my passport is gone. Well, that was very difficult to do because apparently the government in China doesn't like it when people have their passports stolen. So they don't want you to report that. But I had to do it. So, the police, they're not wanting to do it. They write up the report, but they refuse to put the stamp on it that's necessary. So finally, it's like, okay, what is it going to take? And what it took was putting 200 RMB, which is about $30, into the pocket of this cop. And then, okay, yeah, we'll get that done right away. And, so they got the stamp and everything. This stuff happens. I mean, and I would joke about it. I'd be like, in China, this stuff happens. But if I tried that in America, they'd arrest me, for even trying it. And, our government's not that corrupt. Now, and I look around and I hear about this stuff and it's like, wow, boy, was I wrong. It's just as corrupt, maybe even worse. And it makes sense. The decisions that the United States government makes affect people all over the world. So, of course, money from all over the world is going to be pouring into this country to try and influence the policy decisions. And yeah, that's pretty apparent with everything that's happening right now. But I wonder who is behind this effort to absolutely destroy the United States and to send us into chaos. It's absolutely crazy. Now, let me see. I've got some more comments coming in here. Getting older sucks, brother. Yeah, getting old is not a very fun experience, I imagine. I already, from car crashes and different things, have my own aches and pains here that flare up from time to time. My son is, Baba, don't get old. And I'm like, well, I'm not really old. Not really, but man, I think I feel like it sometimes. They're like, why? What happened to you? Just life. Yeah, a few car accidents will do that to you. But let's see. Carrie Lake thing sounded okay. I don't think it was faked. No, it wasn't. It definitely wasn't faked. That's from Mike Malone. I don't know. That was shocking. That and of course the guy resigned. The guy that was offering the bribe. And I want to know, who are the people back east? Who is this? Some people have alluded that it might be the Senate Majority Leader, or whatever, the guy, the turtle guy behind a lot of this. But who else? This is crazy. These are the people that we have these people should be in jail. They should not be running anything. They should not be in government. We need to make some serious changes in this country and get things back under control, under the control of the people, and not corporations that have that's one of the craziest things to me, that these corporations are able to give these massive donations and do all of this stuff. That should not be allowed. I mean, they're not people. I understand that they have to have rights as a corporation in order to function, but maybe not in the political sphere. Somebody's going to argue about that as well and say, well, politics and decisions in the government affect them too. Well, man, I just would like a lot of freedom. That would be really nice. Let's see. You can't trust any of those SOBs. Yeah, absolutely. There's no way that you can trust anybody in the government. Not really. And that's unfortunate. I mean, it makes the government, just to me, when I look at politicians, whenever I think about somebody working in a government job, I just get this sense of like, oh, yeah, you work in the government. It's kind of like, I guess you'd see it as like I don't want to say used car salesman, because there's good used car salesmen. But politicians, it's kind of hard to look at them and like, yeah, this guy, that's kind of a sleazy thing. And that's unfortunate, because we need good people to get into government. We need good people to start, sacrificing or, making, giving some service back to the country. And I think that they probably look at it the same as me and say, well, I don't really want to get involved in this sort of thing. I don't want to play the games that they play. But we need people that are good to go and get involved. I mentioned this in the last live stream that we did, that, if you know anybody that is, let's say a good person, a good leader, somebody that has a good moral backbone, you should encourage them to get involved, because we need people like that to get involved. If you know anybody, maybe you yourself, if you're the kind of person that doesn't want to be involved in politics, then I feel like maybe you should get involved. Even the few of us who are listening here. But like I said, if you have a boss, if you know somebody at church or anything, school, somebody that is like, this is a good person, you should encourage them to get involved, even in a small level, a small way. Because there's a lot of positions that just go to someone by default because there's nobody opposing. In many communities, the local elections get almost no attention whatsoever. And there's a lot of corruption that takes place there as well. I'm not saying that your town specifically is necessarily corrupt, but you might be surprised to discover a lot of corruption there. And that's where it starts. And we need good people to get involved, people that can't be bought, kind of like Carrie Lake. They're often whatever enormous amounts of money to sit out of the race for 2 years. And she says, well, I can't be bought. There's no way. We need people like that. I don't know Carrie Lake, so I can't say for sure that she's a really awesome individual as far as being good, but she sure seems like it. And I definitely am glad she didn't take the bribe. That would be really horrible. But we need good people to get involved. And I'm afraid that a lot of them aren't going to do it, because, like I said, they look at it and they think, well, I don't want to be one of those people. I don't want to be a politician. It looks bad. But we definitely need them, especially now. Let's see. Northeast Rebel, Texas is awesome. Wish my parents never left. Yeah, I've spent a fair amount of time in Texas myself, but mostly in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Amazing place. I just remember being absolutely blown away when everything else was absolutely a dump. After 2008, everything is just kind of barely creeping along. Dallas was continuing to grow all the time. It was pretty amazing to see. And, absolutely crazy. Let's see, Nunya, Texas on the back 20. If Abbott was grow some nuts, call to arms. Yeah, well, the time may come. He's not backing down. We'll have to see where this ends up going as far as the standoff. So far, the Biden administration hasn't sent troops or anything, but you never know. That might be the next step. They might not do that. They might... I can't imagine there's a lot of people in the military that if they really did that, if they really did start this as a civil war, sent troops to try and fight, I guess, against the Texas National Guard, I would not be surprised if a good portion of the troops they sent deserted and went over to join the Texas National Guard. And it would just be a disaster, of course, for the Biden administration. But, a lot of the country looks at the Biden administration as illegitimate anyway. I mean, here's a government that's actively working against its own country, its own people. How can you stand behind something like that? Hey, here's the government that is trying to destroy you and ruin your life. Do you want to join with him or the guy that's trying to protect your way of life? I think that we know which way things would go. And I could also see people from all over the country that maybe have been reluctant to enlist in the military because of the wokeness, the General Milley stuff that's been being pushed. And they might actually go to the Texas National Guard, and you could see this thing turn into a massive force overnight. I think that we're at quite a point here in our country. I know that it sounds crazy. All of this sounds crazy. I'm reminded of when I was in high school in Virginia. There were a couple of people who, would ride on the bus and they'd be like, the South will rise again. And, you hear it and you're like, oh, come on, give me a break. What a joke. But now here we are. We're in 2024 and we're looking at almost a repeat here of the Civil War. And you know what makes it amazing? It's like the sides have been swapped, right? So the Texas side, they're trying to stop human trafficking, which is actually part of the slave trade. They're trying actively to stop slavery in our own country, and the Biden administration is fighting to facilitate the slave trade. It's absolutely crazy. And nobody seems to have caught on to that's what's going on here. These people coming across the border, there's something very different about what's happening this time. And even before, like I said, you get a lot of illegal immigrants that just want to come over and work. Well, there's also the bad stuff, too. The human trafficking that's really, really bad human trafficking. The kind where they're selling people into the sex trades or whatever, that awful, awful things. And we need to stop that. There's also the drug. That was something else that was in that Kerry Lake thing that nobody has talked about. Also, they were like, hey, the cartels are operating in 50 states. That actually sounded like a threat to me. When he was saying that, it came up when she's like, well, I can't, I'm not interested in who's like, the cartels are operating in all 50 states. Is that who the Biden administration is working with then? Are they taking money? These cartels have enormous amounts of money. We talk about, China bribing people or China trying to infiltrate things. Nobody ever talks about the cartels. They have more money than you could ever imagine. And if we have corrupt people in our government who are willing to take money, you better believe it. They're going to do what they can. And that seems to be who's benefiting from this. I mean, a lot of people are going to benefit from it, but look who's benefiting from this. The cartels. And then they're saying they're operating in all 50 states. We need to get that out of this country. We need to put an end to that. Absolutely. But it's crazy that we're even in this world where this is happening. This is insane. I don't know what happened. I left the country, and when I came back a few years ago, it's like, wow, nothing is the same in such a short time. Nothing is the same anymore. The things that I thought, they're all gone. Let's see. Anyone on the opposite side is the enemy. Ready and willing. Hey, I see all that. No wonder we as a nation is in debt. Yeah, we've got enormous amounts of debt. There's a lot of bad stuff going on. Let's see. Nunya, Texas on the back 20. Governor suing for protecting our border. Insanity. Yeah, that is so insane to me that the president, the Biden administration, is suing the state of Texas to be able to break the law. And I mean, can you imagine the insanity of it? Literally, they're suing to be able to continue to break the law. It'd be like your neighbor comes over and starts, breaking into your house and stealing your stuff. So you build a fence and you're like, hey, you can't do that. This is my house and I'm going to protect it. And then they sue you and say, you have to let us tear down the fence. You have to let us tear down the fence so that we can continue to rob your house. That's exactly what this looks like to me. And I don't know how nobody else, maybe they do. Maybe regular people are starting to wake up to it. And, we're regular people. I would say that, of course, we're waking up to it. This is insane. I don't see how the Biden or any Democrat running for president is going to have a chance in hell of getting into the White House after all of this. I feel like all the people who had been convinced that they needed to vote against Trump no matter what, at this point they're like, okay, all right, this is insane. This is beyond. Let's just get Trump back in there. I don't care about the tweets or whatever. Everything that they said would happen if Donald Trump was in office is happening now under Biden, and there's no one that can be blamed for it. We're at the end of the 4-year term here, and the world is on fire. Needs to be fixed. Let's see. We still need F-15s though. I mentioned this before. You think that you don't have them. Well, I'm pretty sure that the Texas National Guard has aircraft. They do. They have them. I don't know that they have F-15s. I have no idea what they have exactly, but they definitely have something. It's not like the federal government they have it. So your state, they have these things. They have tanks. They have jets. They have guns and Jeeps, and not Jeeps, but Humvees. I assume they still have Humvees. Maybe they've switched over to those other vehicles that they're using now in the military. But just the same, it's not like they don't. So when Joe Biden said that, he's a moron. They do. And I've heard other people on the internet saying like, well, there's no way that the Civil War is going to shape up like it did back then. It's going to be chaos instead. Well, it's actually shaping up about like what happened back then. And, your state has stuff. Now, that's why a lot of people are making the call for Joe Biden to nationalize or federalize the National Guard in Texas immediately. But, again, how many of the people in the National Guard are going to go along with that? Are they going to, they'll be like, I agree with what we're doing here. And I definitely don't agree with what Joe Biden is suggesting. So, yeah, it's not like we're helpless here. Now, again, I hope that it doesn't come to that. I would rather not have that happen. I definitely don't want a civil war breaking out in this country, but I'm afraid that the people that are with Joe Biden, maybe that's exactly what they want. If they're actively trying to destroy the country, I don't think they care if there's a civil war. Yeah, I don't think they care if there's destruction. It'll give them even more of a reason to continue destroying the country. So I hope it doesn't come to that. I really hope that it doesn't come to that. But we live in a crazy world. So crazy things are definitely on the table here. You never know what's going to happen. Let's see. Texas using its own money. My money. Yeah. They're using that. Well, the federal government is using your money to destroy the stuff that your money in the Texas state was used to build the razor wire and stuff. It's a crazy world. But, where do you want your money to be used? Who's going to protect you? Is it going to be Joe Biden, or do you trust the government in your state maybe to protect you a little bit better. I'm hoping that at the very least, after all of this is over, a lot of the states come to their senses and realize, hey, maybe taking, things from the federal government, the money that they give in return for going along with whatever it is that they want, maybe that's not a good idea, and we need to be a little bit more independent going forward. Texas is definitely very independent. They have their own electrical grid. They have all the resources that they would need to be able to sustain themselves. There are other states that aren't like that are completely dependent on everyone else. And that needs to change. I think that it's time for the states to start being a little bit more independent. It's terrible that we've come to this point, but here we are, and this is why it has to be. Let's see, those pretty blue helmet make really. Yeah, I can just imagine the UN being sent in. Who are they going to send in? I mean, if they don't have us, I understand they send other people in. Even the Chinese have gone into some of these peacekeeping missions with disastrous results. But is that what's going to happen? Are they going to send Iranian and Chinese troops into the United States on some kind of a peacekeeping mission? Would you allow that? I mean, I wouldn't be surprised now that you mention it. Let's see. Texas needs to secede. I hope that isn't the way that we go. I don't want Texas to secede. You know what? As far as I'm concerned, Washington, D.C. can secede. California, whatever other state, you guys, they can secede. I don't think that we need to secede. I'm pretty sure that most of the states will end up being like, hey, we agree with Texas and Oklahoma and Florida and West Virginia and South Dakota and all these other guys that are, going along with this. We don't want the border to be wide open with criminals coming across. We don't want that. We don't want human trafficking. We don't want drugs coming into the country. Maybe they're right to be protecting their border. Let's see. Agree, but listen, need time for other states to follow along with Texas. Like I said, I don't want it to come to that. I don't personally want it to come to that. But I can understand the position that they're in. The federal government is actively trying to ruin them. And what are you going to do? Just sit there and let it happen? It doesn't even matter. Like, okay, the states, the Supreme Court rules this. It's like, well, I'm not going to sit here and let them run me over. Even if the court said that's what I have to do, I'm going to fight for my life. Let's see. Texas has a state guard under state control paid by state money. Yeah, that's basically the state's militia. And Joe Biden, if he thinks that he's going to come and take them, I don't know what's going to happen. Again, I haven't seen anything come up about whether he's going to try to federalize the Texas National Guard. I don't think Joe Biden knows what's going on. I don't know who's in charge over there. I guess we'll have to wait and see what they do. But everybody should be watching what's taking place very closely, because this is very much like Fort Sumter, and it could blow up very, very fast. We have armed troops, and they're not there because they're there to protect the border as well, but they're also there to keep the feds out. That's remarkable. Let's see. Not going to happen. We joined by treaty. Yeah. It's Texas. The situation with how you guys got into the union in the first place is an interesting one. Like I said, we'll see where this goes. I think that a lot of states would side with Texas on this one, and they will continue to do so. Let's see. Taxation without representation. Well, that's all of us at this point. Who in the federal government represents you and your interests? I can't think of anybody right now. Let's see. 2 ads. Really? They're running ads on this. How do you like that? I guess I haven't seen much money from it. I think it says there's about $5. It's got to wait till it gets to $100 before it'll actually give me anything. So it'll probably be about 6 months. But, that's kind of the way YouTube works. Who knows? Maybe if I get more people in here, more people hitting that like button, maybe that's what'll do it. Hit the like button. Where is she? There she is. Hit the like button. Maybe that'll help him to get more people in here. I can get paid and actually afford to be able to do this all the time. Maybe improve my operation here. You never know. I don't know. Is it the like button that's better, or is it the comments thing? Who knows? Whatever it is, I'm glad you guys are here just the same. But let's see. Better not allow California to be part of anything. Terrible state that needs to fall off into the ocean. I've been hearing about that all my life, that California is going to fall off into the ocean. California, it's not what you think. There are a lot of, even when I was living in the Los Angeles area, people would refer to Northern California like, well, we're not like those crazies up there. And, it's a lot more diverse as far as political opinions are concerned than you would think if you're in Southern California. Now, maybe that's changed over the years, but also the further east you go, the more conservative like it's going to get, because that's where all the farmers are. They definitely don't go along with whatever's happening in the state, but they have no voice. They have no representation. And I wish that things would change, because it's a beautiful place with beautiful weather, but, I guess if it fell off into the ocean, maybe Nevada could have some of that, and they can have the beaches and all of that. Maybe it'd be a little bit better. Who knows? Let's see. Mike Malone, when the federal troops surround the state or start forcing their rule is when it gets ugly really fast. But see, here's what I could see happening. Joe Biden sends the troops in, and maybe this is why he hasn't responded yet. I don't know. They send the troops in. A large number of them are probably going to say, you know what, I support the Texas side, and they're just going to leave and go to the Texas side. They're going to just go with them, and you're going to see their numbers swell, and they're going to gain a bunch of equipment, and it's going to be really bad for the Biden administration. So I'm hoping that he understands that as well and just decides to back down and stop breaking the law in the first place. But just my thoughts. Well, I wonder what YouTube's going to think of this odd conversation here. It's just absolutely crazy what's happening in this country right now. And I hope that they're willing to let people talk about it, because it's absolutely crazy that this is taking place. I mean, this is something that really needs to be watched. I saw another story today. This kind of reminds me of it, that a bunch of the news outlets, the traditional, journalism sector is collapsing, and, they're closing a bunch of offices. They're laying off over 30,000 so-called journalists. And, I was thinking at first, like, oh man, where are we going to get the news from? And I just realized, it's from, we don't even need it anymore. We have other journalists that are rising up now that are taking on the mantle of doing real journalism instead of the propaganda that these other people have been doing. And they're filling the gap. And we're getting better information than we ever would have gotten before because of social media, if they would open it up. I guess Twitter is somewhat open, or X, or whatever you want to call it. So you can hear what's happening from regular people on the ground in real time, and there are people that can report that now. It's a completely different world. We don't need Fox News or any of these other groups to do that anymore. It's just the way that things are, and it's maybe hard for them, and it's terrible that anybody's losing their job. I mean, assuming that they're not a propagandist, but that's the way that things go. I mean, you can't stop it. It's new technology. It's new stuff, and that's just the way that it is. So they should look at the newspapers are dying. The newspapers, maybe they should look at it a different way. If you would just consider what you're supposed to do, or your customers and what they expect, maybe, it would work out a little bit better. But, then that'll never happen. They're part of the government at this point. And maybe they see the writing on the wall and realize whatever subsidies they've been getting are probably soon to depart as the elections go. We'll see what happens. I mean, that's another thing that we need to watch. The elections coming up this year in November. It'll be an interesting year, but it's not necessarily seeming very bad. I know this situation in Texas could go bad. It could go very, very wrong, but at the same time, it could be very, very good, because now they see that people are willing to stand up and say, no, we're not going to go along with this craziness anymore. You're not going to destroy the country and just get away with it. So maybe things will change. Maybe this is the moment when we get our country back, or at least begin to. We'll have to see what happens with that. Let's see. There are good people in every state. Stand up. There are. And like I said, if it really came down to it, if it really came down to it and the federal government started a war essentially with Texas and some of these other states, people would come pouring in to join their ranks. I guarantee it. The people that have been reluctant to join the military because of the craziness in the federal government, I wouldn't be surprised if they rushed into Texas and filled up their ranks. And I'm sure that's another reason that the Biden administration is probably quite concerned. Maybe that's why they're not responding in the way that you would expect them to respond, because they know what will happen. They know what the people really support and where the people really stand and what they believe. And it's not with Joe Biden. So we'll have to see. It's a mutant riff. Evil happens because good people are silenced. Well, I'm glad to see that people are standing up. They're, just look what's happening in Texas. That's a good example. That should give everybody a lot of hope. Now, I know that saying so could be, oh boy, here we go. We'll have the government watching everything that we do now, because it's insane. It's just all of it is insane what's happening in the country right now. I can't believe that we're here. And I blame Joe Biden for putting us here. And it may have been by design. I don't know. But let's hope that we can save the country so that we can all have a better future. Let's see. YouTube liking it. Yeah, YouTube. They, I don't know why. It says there's only like 10 people watching. Maybe, I don't know what the deal is with YouTube. They, their algorithm is a little bit strange. Maybe if I start doing this every single day at this time, then it'll start to, have some momentum. I don't know. I'm not exactly sure how it works. I don't think they like this sort of message, but because it's a live stream, I don't know if my channel is shadow banned, just the channel itself, or, how that works. But, maybe it's just my face. Who knows? Anyway, I do see people saying to hit the like button. Yes, if you don't mind, hit the like button. Also, don't forget to subscribe, so you don't miss out on future stuff. And there she is. Hit the like button or the thumbs down, like I said. Let's see. Nunya, Texas on the back 20. I will be in front of the line in sand because my family is behind it. Absolutely. What is the Biden administration? Like I said, I think that they know the real situation and how this will unfold. If they decided to fight a war with Texas, people are going to come pouring in from everywhere to fill up the ranks, and they're going to lose this one. And I don't think that the people in the military right now, the actual U.S. Army, I don't think that a lot of them are going to go along with what the president is saying. I just don't think that they would. I think they'd be like, my conscience says I can't support this. I can't. And it'll go very badly for them. Let's see. FJB. Yeah, absolutely. I've seen that a couple of times there. I ought to make something, a little animation for that. That's what I should do. Every time I see it, I can make it come up. What do I have? No, I don't have it on there anymore. I'll have to figure that one out. Do something fun with that. Let's see. What else have we got here? They don't speak the truth. Yeah, absolutely. Better to use share and spread the word. Another ad. Yeah, wow, it's really running the ads. They don't give you a lot of options when it comes to the ads on here. So you have like 3 choices. I can't remember what they are. There's one that's balanced, one that's aggressive. I always go with the balanced one, which I would think would only like maybe play an advertisement here and there, but I guess it's being pretty aggressive today. But yeah, that's another thing. You mentioned that if you don't mind, if you think that you enjoy this and like being part of the conversation and know anybody else that would also like to be part of the conversation, share it out. Let people know that this exists, so they can come in here and we can have the conversation and talk about this stuff. I'd love to see this grow a little bit, get more people in here. Sure, that'd be fun. It's not always the most interesting thing in the world, but the way the news is going lately, it should be pretty interesting. Anyway, I've been talking for about 45 minutes here. In a little bit, I've got to go get my son and bring him back home from school, so I better wrap this up. hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Let me, again, if you did, hit the like button. Make sure that you comment, especially, if you're catching it after the fact. Leave a comment down below. And I guess I will see you guys in the next one.
ไฟพะวงหลงเฝ้าสาวเจ้าบางประกงทางห้วยงงหลงเกอหาโอเวรกรรมจำพระ